I'm not going to lie, writing a book is hard. Writing the third book in an epic fantasy trilogy is harder. I'm beginning to find out. But before I get into that, I just want to say hello and welcome back to my channel. This is episode, if you want to call it an episode, vlog number 10 of the Behind the Writing Desk, and I'm going to update you on the progress that I have been making, or not making in some instances, on Rivers of Blood and Fire, which is the third book in the Viking Saga trilogy. As you know, I'm working on just the one book. I spent a lot of time saying that I was going to be working on 2 books. That was way too ambitious for me. I have come to realise that probably working on 1 book at a time is ideal for me. Anything more, I just can't handle it. So I have settled on Rivers of Blood and Fire. I need to get this finished, and I think that is part of the problem that I've been finding. I think, maybe putting some pressure on myself subconsciously, because I keep telling everyone I'm not, I'm just taking each day as it comes, but I think maybe I am putting a kind of tiny bit of pressure on myself subconsciously. I'm very aware that I will be back at school soon, and my time for writing will diminish a little bit. But yeah, that's just the way it goes, isn't it? We all have jobs and things, and we all have to balance it. So let's get on with it. So last Sunday, I decided that I would try to make myself a little bit more accountable with word counts and things like that, and just kind of like keeping track of where I'm at with things on a daily basis. Up until last week, I was kind of thinking, I don't need that. I'm not technically writing for a while, and when I do write, I can just make a note of it in my notebook. But I don't like doing that, and I forget about it. And if I want it in my notebook, I kind of want it pretty with nice colours, and then you get into this whole thing where you're like drawing out monthly spreads and things and trying to, colour code and things. I just didn't want anything to do with that. I wanted to try to keep it as simple as possible. So I followed Ali Abdul's advice. He was talking about this a few months ago when he was writing his own book, Feel Good Productivity, and he was talking about having a Google Sheets spreadsheet, and kind of doing a word count tracker that way. So I thought, okay, let's do that. I'm going to insert a picture of it over here somewhere just so that you can see it. If you've followed me on Instagram and you've been following me last week, you would have seen this already. But for those of you that haven't, I'll leave a picture over here for you. So basically, I've done like a color coded spread for the next 4 months, so August to December. Made them all different colours, made them pretty, and basically what I'm doing is, if I write that day, I'm going to put it in as a word count. If I've been planning or researching, I will just write in research or planning. It just keeps an idea in my own mind about what I have been doing. So if I'm having a day where I haven't done anything, which is kind of what's happened. Oh, sorry, I kicked the table. Which is kind of what's happened the last couple of days. I haven't felt like doing anything, so I haven't done anything. I would usually just get so bogged down in the fact that, oh, I'm so useless, I haven't done anything these last couple of days, blah, blah, blah. But I can look at that spreadsheet when I get back to my desk, and I can actually think, actually, I haven't been as useless as I thought I was. I've actually done all of this leading up to those days that I had to take off. And it makes me feel a tiny bit better. So I'm going with that. I'm keeping that probably into next year as well, and using that now as with any book that I write. I just think it makes me feel better about myself, and that's invaluable. So feel free to borrow that idea if you want. If it helps you in any way, that is absolutely fine by me. So I created that last week, and to be fair, I went back for the rest of the month, because I have been keeping random notes, random word counts in my notebook, and tracking it, but it was an ad hoc kind of tracking, so I was able to just kind of go back and just kind of fill in what I've been doing for the whole of the month of August so far. So that was good. And if I wasn't sure, I just called it a 0 day, because I wasn't sure. But there were a lot of times when I was doing a lot of research and things, so I was able to mark those down as well. But yeah, so that is one thing that I've been doing. Another thing that I have done that has really helped is I was finding that a lot of what I was planning was starting to kind of like tangle up in my head. I was trying to keep track of, because this book, up until this book, the first 2 books in the series have kind of been very small POV characters. So I think we've had some chapters from Odin's point of view and from Freya's point of view, Golvig and Loki and Freydis. Obviously, most of the story up until now has been from Freydis's point of view, with a couple of the other characters' POVs kind of thrown in for good measure. This book opens up completely, and in this book I have 7 character POVs, and then I've got other sort of like miscellaneous character POVs that kind of come in every now and then. So this book has really opened up in scope, and I have been kind of finding it really difficult to keep track of which chapter is for which character, especially with the beginning of this, because it's kind of everyone's getting a little bit of a moment in the spotlight kind of thing. So what I've done is I have color coded my chapters with all of the different colors for different characters. So we've got Freydis, Modi, Ulfa, Odin, Freya, Ragnar, Golvig, and then I've got a couple of other characters that are like miscellaneous characters. If you read the book, you'll find out what that means and how they fit into the story. So what I've also done is I've taken a piece of paper. I want to eventually put it into my folder, put it into my notebook, but I tried to do it in my notebook and got myself into a little bit of a mess. So I was like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to these sort of things, so I don't want it to go into the notebook until I am happy with it. So I've been doing it on A4 paper at the moment, but what I've done is I've drawn like a timeline, and I've taken the chapters that I've done so far and written notes, like as a timeline about what happens in chapter 1 and who that is, so colour code it. And I've been finding that's been really helpful, because when I was trying to flip back in a Google Doc, because I do all my chapter overviews in a Google Doc, because I've been trying to track when was Ragnar's last chapter, for instance, or when was Freya's last chapter, or what happened with Freydis last time. It's been going up and down, up and down, up and down in this Google Doc, and it's been doing my head in. So this way, I've got this timeline that eventually will be spread across I don't want to give anything away, like a A5, double A5 spread, or in its case at the moment is just A4 piece paper, and it's just literally chapter 1, this character did this, chapter 2, this character did this, and it's sort of like really basic notes of what happened in each chapter. And I've been finding that very, very helpful when I come to do like my chapter treatment in Google Docs. I've never worked like that before. I've never felt the need to work like that before. But then that's because most of my books have either been from just one character's point of view or just 2. Like with Appleford, it's just been a dual like point of view story, and it's not a complicated plot in romance at all. But this one, there's so much happening, and there is so much that I want to cover, and there's so much that I want to explain and reveal that I was struggling to kind of like, it was like whack-a-mole. As soon as something happened, something else was happening over here, and then I was just like all over the place. I just couldn't cope with it. So I was just like, let's just keep this really, really simple. Let's just keep this really basic. I really recommend, if you are writing fantasy or any novel where you've got more complicated plot or numerous POVs, that you give it a go, because actually it does help. So yeah, they are my 2 things that I've been doing, that I've added to my work routine that I've never had before. Like to enhance my writing routine and to make the process just a little bit more easier. And as I say, that's been working really well for me. I've also been watching lots of YouTube videos to help me with world building, and like a lot of stuff about Viking history and Viking spiritualism, things like that. It's all going to be feeding into this story. As I say, this is where the pressure comes in for me, because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of scope to cover for this one, and I don't know how long it's going to be. I mean, I've already written up to chapter 6, although I've only written the first 5 chapters, because actually, although I've written chapter 6, chapter 6 was originally something like chapter 4, and that's been moved in the process of my planning. So chapter 5 is now an empty chapter that I have to go back and write, and I'm going to hopefully do that today. So yeah, it's all a bit choppy at the moment. It makes sense in my head. I hope I'm getting that across to you guys, but if not, let's just see this. Let's just treat this as like a diary entry for me, and I'm just getting my ideas out on the page, out onto the metaphorical page. So I've written 5,368 words so far, which I'm quite pleased with. But then I got to the point where I realised that actually I needed to do more planning. So I've planned up to, I think, chapter 10. But already, because there's so many POVs, I'm thinking, God, this book is it's gonna be it might be a bit of a monster, this one. At least the first draft. I mean, once I've edited it down, it's gone through a few rounds of editing. Maybe that will change, but it's gonna be a lot of work and a lot of commitment to put it onto the paper, I think. But you know, that's what we get when we write a book. If we've got a story in us and we need to tell it, we need to tell it. And at first, I think this first draft may be messy, but I am quietly confident that I can clean it up and make it as good as I want it to be, as good as it is in my own head anyway. I don't know how much time I'm going to have. Like, this is my last full week before I go back to school, so I hope to do quite a bit, make a bit of progress this week. I'm leaving the house tomorrow. I'm stepping outside and going elsewhere to do some writing. So that'll be quite nice. It'll be nice to change things up a bit, get out and kind of take myself somewhere new. And we'll see how much that affects my writing routine. I'll let you know next time in episode 11 of Behind the Writing Desk. But we also have other things to do next weekend and things like that. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to find some time before I go back to school. But then the weekend after I go back to school, so not this weekend, but the weekend of the 6th and the 7th of September is my first book fair. So I've got a lot of prep to do for that. I want to make sure everything is a-okay with that. I'm going to do a separate video about prepping for my for book fairs. I've got a couple in September. Well, one's actually a craft market, but I'm treating it as a book fair. I'm going to be there selling books, so you know. But yeah, so I will be doing a separate video where I talk about that. So I hope you stick around for that. But yeah, so basically, what with that and going back to school, I don't know after this week, how much time I'm going to have. But I'm obviously going to be using my Google Calendar, getting in those, like scheduling in those deep work sessions, getting up a little bit earlier if need be, because this book needs to be written. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I did say that I was hoping to finish this book, first draft, by the end of September. Absolutely no way. I mean, if I was optimistic about writing 2 books, writing this one, writing the first draft of this before the end of September, that's a different level of optimism altogether. But I'm hoping by the end of the year. I've changed that now to by the end of the year. I'm going to try and be a little bit more, try and sort of like lay off the gas a little bit and just kind of like enjoy the process. I want to enjoy the process. I'm anticipating a 2026 release for this book, but it definitely will be finished by the end of September. That's it for this week. I don't think I've got anything else to add to this. Let me know how you're doing in your writing. Let me know what you're doing, what you're reading as well. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you feel you want to come along on this journey with me. Next week I will be doing my what am I reading for September video, and I am so excited about September's choices. I can't wait to tell you what they are. There are a couple of books in there that are just, I can't wait to start reading. One in particular, but I'm not going to say any more until next weekend. And then the video after that will be my prepping for book markets and book fairs. So until then, I will see you later. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.